Now we come to what I consider is the most important aspect of Lightroom, whether it's CC or Classic, and it's the power of the local tools. So local tools are, here on the right. We're going to start with the most classic one, which is the gradient, and it's going to be very useful. The idea of the gradient, well, you can see there's a little, a drawing here. You click and drag, and you make a gradient. Okay, I'm going to click on Got It on the tutorial because I'm the one explaining you. And whatever is happening here, you see right now there's some exposure. We can click here to reset everything. So whatever is happening here, oops, no, right. Sorry, that actually resetted the linear gradient, not everything. If you want to reset the gradient itself, you can, I think, let's see here. I'm not sure, but let's say we have different options, and I double click here. No, it doesn't. No, you just can click here, and you can double click on the different settings. Okay, fine. Basically, the idea is whatever you do here is going to be applied on the gradient. So I can click and drag. Right now, nothing's happening. However, if I lower the exposure, which is what I really want to do in the first place, you see it gets done on the gradient. Whatever value you have here is going to be applied from the top of the photo to that first line at 100%. And from that first line to the third line is going to be on a gradient. So your gradient can be small, so you can see, or it can be big. I like big gradients. And I love vignette. I want people to look inside of the photo, and I want to give back some of the blue that I take out. Remember, on the white balance, we made the white balance very warm, and we see that blue is almost grayish now. So if I, on top of making a bit of a lower exposure, if I add some blue, so don't overdo it. Don't do something like this. That would be completely unreal. You got to be very gentle. The blue needs to be like a true blue, something that you could experience, not something you could find only in the bathroom, the blue product that they put, that's what I always say as a joke. So that's okay. I think that's kind of real. Maybe lower, a little less the exposure, but I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really, really, really good. And you can really see the difference that it makes. So I like to use another gradient here, click and drag, and basically it takes the same value and does it at the bottom because that water is very dirty. So by making it darker like this, it just puts more attention in the center of the photo. I think that just makes it a lot more interesting. So if you want to see the before and after, you can see the before and after by pressing the backslash key. It's going to show you the original photo and where we're at. I mean, you can see the gradients really changed a lot. We've already done a lot of work on this photo, and it's not over yet. So another great and very useful local adjustment is a circle. The way the circle works is you got all the basic sliders here of Lightroom CC. Let me make a big circle. And so whatever is happening in that circle, okay, is going to be, right now it's being applied in the circle. So if I move this, if I, for example, add some light, it's like having like a flashlight on the photo wherever I move that circle. And if I click on invert, it does the opposite. So that value is being applied everything but in the circle. Usually most of the time I leave by default because I want to apply what's in the circle. And what do I want to do in the circle? I don't necessarily double click on this to put it back. I don't necessarily want to add more light, but I might want to add a little bit of yellow and a bit of magenta just to make, not that much, that's way too much. You got to be, again, be very gentle with these settings here. Now, one thing that's very important is this feather. Look at this. If I go here on the left, you can see here the, basically you can see the value is very, very, there's no gradient. But if I go all the way to the right and I feather this completely, it becomes a lot more natural. I just want to make, and maybe add a little bit of exposure here, just a little tad. So that's a great thing. You can add a lot of things here. You can add a lot of things here on a gradient. And again, backslash key before, after. Look at the difference. Look at the difference that it makes, And so I really, really like to use this. Now, the last local tool, which is even the most powerful of all, is the brush. And the brush, basically you can brush. So for example, I want to make some of that shine of the light a little more obvious. I'm going to double click on temp, double click on tint because I don't want to use that, but maybe a little bit of exposure. There's a setting here when it comes to the brush. You have to move this little triangle here and you can see you've got the feather of the brush So feather basically, well, you got the size first, but you can use the middle mouse, which is what I do here, to move the size much easier. And then the feather, same thing. If I don't have any feathering, let me add some exposure so you can see what it does. Basically, you're going to really see what I'm doing. So I'm going to press delete to erase it. That's not good. So I always put the feather all the way. Now, flow and density is really interesting. If you put flow and density all the way, same thing, you're going to see a lot what you're doing. So I'm going to erase this again. But if you put the flow and density in the 70s and 80, then that's kind of cool because I can brush here to make this a little more shiny. And I'm kind of overdoing it at first. And it's not as visible. I still think it's way too much visible. So you see I'm at 0.124 of exposure value, EV, exposure value of 1. You know, it's just an arbitrary number. Usually I try to go at 0.5 maximum. But you can see without it, with a little bit of it, it just makes the water a little more shiny. And you will see in the other examples, we're going to be using a lot these brushes. I think one last thing that I can do is maybe I can turn this light on. And I can go in here, I can zoom in by pressing the space bar and zooming in. And I can make a little circle here. So that circle is the size here of the lamp. And I can just boost the exposure, add some yellow, and I can make it shine. I'm going to make that thing a little smaller. I can make it shine just like if it was turned on. And I can create another one. I can right click, and I can duplicate. And the second one, I can make it even bigger just so that we have the radiation of the light. And on this one, I'm just going to make it a lot less powerful because it only radiates the light. And voila. And space bar to get the hand and click to zoom back out. Okay, and then I can see, I think it's a little too much. So on the yellow, so I'm going to make the yellow a little less. On this circle here, there's two circles. So the internal circle here, I'm going to make a bit less. And the external circle, which is here, maybe a bit less. And voila, but I did turn on the lights. And that's what the local tools do. And if you want to appreciate it without, you see, we can see circle. If you move out here on that menu, you can see the photo without the circles, which is easier to appreciate. So again, / before, after. We came a long way retouching this photo. So the last thing I think I want to do on this one is on the local tools, I want to show you the spot healing brush tool. So what the spot is, it just removes things. That's what the tutorial is about. I'm going to click on the space bar. So to zoom in, and you can see there is some dirt here. So I can just click on the dirt, and it's going to try to sample a second circle and copy it here. And you can even brush it like this, and it's going to try to copy there, you see, but it's going to copy this spot here. So I don't want that. So I can move the source of the copying, and I can go like this and just erase and just erase. And yeah, like this bottle here, I can take this whole bottle out. Voila. And you know, it's not as good as Photoshop, but it does help a little bit. Again, if you want to see the without the circle, make sure you put your mouse there. That's kind of a little bit of a bug. Oh, and it just shows the last one used. Okay, cool. And then / key to see the before and after. Before and after. Make sure you're in this section. And voila, so that's the power of the local tools. Again, let me show you the before and the after. It's quite crazy.